Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to your Royal Rumble 2018 predictions video. So, why not? Let's predict this show. You want a prediction? I'll tell you, the show's gonna suck. All right, there you go. There's the prediction to end it. We could just end the video right now, and we'll have a record-breaking under 1 minute video here. Probably the first ever for this channel. We will break some record. Anyway, we'll go through it match by match. We'll pretend like this show is going to be unpredictable, that it's going to be great. So we'll basically have more fun in this video than we will have watching the Rumble. So in the first match, we're going to have 2 out of 3 falls. I thought this was going to be like a pre-show match, but look for it maybe to be a pre-show match, because one thing we could definitely guarantee, two things about this match. We're going to have Chad Gable sporting his ultra sexy headband. I know a lot of the fans out there who love Chad Gable, who worship Chad Gable, would give anything to have that headband. They'd sniff the sweat on it, the perspiration. Oh, Chad, not only is your sweat as great as your wrestling moves, but you're also really, oh my goodness. Come on. You know that's what people are thinking when they see Chad Gable, because I've seen things online where people said things about Chad Gable where you would think that he's some sort of god. He does a great German suplex, but I'm not exactly going to sniff the man's headband. Let's be perfectly honest. The other thing we know about this match, besides that, is it's probably going to be about 40 minutes. It's a 2 out of 3 falls match. Going to make the pay-per-view be 8 hours long. I already know that this pay-per-view, with 2 Rumble matches in it, there's no way it's going to be under 5 hours. The Rumble to begin with has been moved up to 4 hours, and they sometimes even on the minor pay-per-views like Clash of Champions, it's like 3.5 hours. Sometimes those pay-per-views are 4 hours. I mean, think about it. If Raw is 3 hours, then the pay-per-view being 4 hours kind of doesn't seem too far-fetched. Remember when it was a pay-per-view? Like back in the day when it was actually on pay-per-view, it was very rare that they even hit the 3 hour mark. Most of the time it'd be 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes maximum. They barely would even get there. It'd be like 43 minutes even before the hour. I mean, come on. You mean to tell me that they're going to really make this a super long-ass pay-per-view when they're all super long-ass pay-per-views? Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan will probably beat Sheamus and Cesaro. I mean, oh, did I even predict who was going to win? The Usos will obviously win. If they're not, I mean, I want them to surprise me at least with them. Have Chad and Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin get a win at least. But like I said, surprise me. Do something that I'm not going to expect. But either that or just move on to a different team already. Who do they got on SmackDown? They got Rusev Day, but they're already losing every single match. So who's going to even take them seriously? Who takes anybody seriously in this in the current landscape? Not just SmackDown, but on Raw. So anyway, moving on, Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins will probably beat Sheamus and Cesaro. I'd like to see Dean Ambrose interfere or something like that. There's rumors that he might be turning heel. I don't know, but which tag match is going to make it onto the pre-show? That's the real prediction. Probably the Usos one. They most likely won't put Seth Rollins on the pre-show. God forbid we put Seth Rollins on the pre-show, right? Brock Lesnar will defeat Strowman and Kane. So if it was up to me, I'd be having Strowman win this match. I would have had Strowman win at No Mercy. You're building this guy up, making him dominant, and then you're just gonna have him lose a match. Even if one thing we know for sure, even if they pull a swerve and have Strowman win, we know one thing: the only person getting pinned in this match is Kane. That's the one thing we know. I'm looking forward to this match. It will probably be the best thing on the card. AJ Styles will defeat Owens and Sami Zayn. Obviously, especially since Zayn was standing tall on SmackDown. Um, this match is something that has no business being a pay-per-view main event. This is like something that should be on Clash of Champions. This is something that should be on Backlash. Not even. It's not even a pay-per-view match. You can put this as a Royal Rumble main event for not just for the Universal Championship, but the world title. Let's remember that WWE Championship is the same one that Stone Cold held. That is the main belt. That's the main WWE Championship. That's the Hulk Hogan belt. That's the Macho Man belt. That's the Ultimate Warrior belt. All these people that, the great champions. It wasn't the Universal Championship. Remember, that's the new belt. WWE Championship. And it has the least prominent match. I mean, when we look at these two world title matches that we have, the one for the Universal title is without a doubt the better of the two. I mean, you take a look at this and you say to yourselves, what is the better match out of the two? Lesnar, Strowman, and Kane? Or would you rather watch AJ Styles versus Zayn and Owens? I know there's a couple of people out there that are going to say they're looking forward to this. Even though we've seen Owens and AJ Styles for the thousands, 80, 90 times, there's going to be people saying, oh, it's going to be a great match, a handicap match as a main pay-per-view match. Now, we're not talking about Stone Cold against The Undertaker and Kane. We're talking about AJ Styles, Owens, and Zayn. There's no comparison here. Even when remember when they had CM Punk versus, I believe it was versus The Shield. Even that seemed more pay-per-view worthy. The Women's Royal Rumble. Ronda Rousey will be debuting here, and if some strange happenstance occurs where she doesn't, it will be Asuka. But it is going to be Ronda Rousey. For it to be Asuka, I mean, that would be really obvious. But we all know with all the rumors, it's kind of obvious that it's now or never. If Ronda Rousey doesn't appear in this Royal Rumble and win it, she's never going to appear. Now, if it was up to me, I would not have Ronda Rousey in this Rumble. And I did a previous video like that. I don't think that we can really afford to have a Ronda Rousey in the WWE, especially after one of the girls' careers just ended. That we could really just hope and pray that Rousey could just suddenly adapt to this new style. I'm surprised that, with her getting trained in privacy, that one of these goofballs on Instagram or Twitter hasn't tweeted or sent out a photo on Instagram showing her training. Because you always have those people out there, them goofballs out there who are doing that shit on social media. So with that being said, I still do believe that she will be in the Rumble. I just don't think it's a good idea to take a chance on somebody like Rousey. They're gonna and the sad thing is they spent so much time on all these women. Um, you think about it, from the Sasha Bankses of the world and all these other wrestlers, Becky Lynch, Naomi, all the TV time dedicated to them, and they still got to go to an outside source, because that's the other thing. This Rumble, with the first time it being the women, it's got to be big. There's got to be something happening, because this is going to be a disaster. You know the women are going to be exposed. You know that you're going to see that they're not as good as the men. You're going to see that this Rumble's going to be sloppy. I know something's going to happen. There's going to be botches in it. There's going to people be getting eliminated accidentally out of order. You know, there's going to be blunders. I'm saying it here first. So go ahead and save this video, download it somewhere. You know, you're going to want to come back and listen to the time I predicted that there's going to be something big happening here that's not just a natural occurrence that's already scripted. There's going to be fuck ups in this match. There's going to be a lot of them. And if there's not a lot of them, there's going to be some that are going to like ruin this match. And you're going to see it because I watch all these matches all the time. I always see sloppy finishes. There's always botches in these women's matches. Nobody wants to admit it because nobody wants to be called sexist here on YouTube. But you know, guys, that I don't give a shit, so I'm going to come here and say it anyway. So look for that to happen. Then it's going to be the men's Rumble. And I was thinking to myself, maybe the people are right on here in the YWC. Maybe Knocker Murphy is going to win. Then I read a couple of things where McMahon is not too keen on having Knocker Murphy win. So I don't think he's going to win. People are hoping in their heart of hearts. Can you imagine WrestleMania? AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura? Guys, let's be perfectly honest here. When you think about WrestleMania and you think about headline pay-per-view matches, right? Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. All these big headline matches. Some of the greatest matches of all time. Matches that they talk about on the network. Oh, I wish we could be as good as we used to be with all those great matches. Do you think for 1 second that McMahon is going to listen to Triple H after he's been wrong so many times about all these different wrestlers? You know, he told Vince, these guys are going to be great. Then nobody cheers for them. They're not over. You know, do you really think you could clearly see it? Remember last year? Who was champion? Who was the Universal Champion? Kevin Owens. Next thing you knew, Kevin Owens wasn't world champion anymore. He wasn't Universal Champion anymore. Who was it? It was Goldberg. Goldberg took his spot against Brock Lesnar at last year's WrestleMania after holding the belt for months. And the ratings were plummeting and they weren't good. And I'm not saying we could just blame that on Kevin Owens. It's the whole show. But the thing was, it was WrestleMania time. And you saw who was, you know, towards the end of the card. And you saw who was at the beginning of it. Kevin Owens was. You know, he was wrestling for the United States Championship. Wasn't wrestling with the world title or for the world title. They didn't even get a rematch for it. So they made sure that they had their, you know, their basic guys that they knew could draw. They stayed with their Randy Ortons for SmackDown. They put Goldberg and Brock Lesnar for the belt for the Raw match. And your main event, the last match on the card, was The Undertaker, right? With Roman Reigns. So do you really think they're going to take a chance and put Knocker Murphy against AJ Styles? They gave you what you wanted at Survivor Series, and it ended up being a good match with AJ and Brock Lesnar. But let's be perfectly honest here. That was Survivor Series. This is WrestleMania. McMahon banks on this shit, right? That's why we don't put it in little arenas anymore. We got to do the football stadiums. McMahon wants this to be the payday. So he's not going to count on a guy who could barely speak English. Now, I know that the build-up for WrestleMania sucks every fucking year. I mean, we haven't had a good build for Mania in I don't know how long. I'm not even going to try to think about it. I mean, there's been lousy build for years. Consistently lousy build. It's going to be no different this year. Going to be lousy build. We're going to have shit-ass Raws, shit-ass SmackDowns. It's going to be bad. So but we know that when the event comes, it most likely is probably going to be a decent show. Pretty much, WrestleMania is always a decent show at the very least. It easily ends up being like the best show of the year, right? No contest. If it's not that, it's usually the pageantry, the glitz and glam that usually gets to us. One form or another, it's going to end up being a pretty decent show, right? So, so they're not going to bank on this guy with the weird faces and hand motions and broken English. They're not going to count on that guy to sell out an arena. They're not going to count on, well, I think it's probably already sold out, but you get the point. I mean, they're not going to count on people tuning in or buying new network subscriptions to see that doofus. No, they ain't going to bank on Naka Murphy. They're going to be banking on somebody else. So Roman Reigns will probably win it. It's kind of obvious, and if it ain't Roman Reigns, somebody. But I'm saying it's probably Roman Reigns because it's pretty much a sure thing. It will be Roman and Brock, and we know that Roman will win the title, which I support, by the way. Roman Reigns should be champion. He's obviously, following this whole detour that they took with the Shield. Roman Reigns should have been the hottest thing right now. He shouldn't have been feuding with the Miz over IC titles and wasting his time with Samoa Fat Boy Joe. He should have been world champion. Like right after the match with John Cena, this guy should have still been doing his singles thing. Instead, they slowed it down, made him hang around with the Shield because these two guys failed to get over by themselves. So there you go, guys. I don't know what more you want me to say. This Rumble is going to suck one way or the other. Maybe the men's Royal Rumble will be decent this year. I mean, like last year's Rumble was okay, I think. They failed to have The Undertaker, Brock, and Goldberg in the ring at the same time. So they always get something wrong. And they will be getting many things wrong, especially with the women's one. They're going to have a lot of things wrong with that. Oh my God, that's going to be a disaster. But there you go, guys. There's your predictions. This has been your YWC champ. Sign out. It's going to be a shitty show. Oh yeah.